One of the questions I always see very frequently is what should I know about? I'm going to look at X machine, X being whatever machine. What are the problems with them? And so I figured this might be a really good opportunity with the 455 and the X748 to kind of go over the shortcomings that I have found and places that you really need to pay attention when you're buying them. So let's start off with the 455. One of the really common things with the 455 is the cosmetics. The hood and the side panels and the screens and the grill, they're all incredibly expensive. You could easily, if you went and bought all of this new from Deere, you could probably spend in excess of $700. And you can see that my hood here has a chip, and I'm sorry about the shaking camera. There's just tons of bugs outside right now. The wind's kind of died down. And so really the cosmetics are the big part. The seats don't last very long. This is a new seat. It's an OEM Deere seat. And the seat, I mean, they're, I think, $200, something like that, $170. So that is one of those things that it's just, you got to be prepared for it if you buy it. Don't look at it. And I mean, if you're fine with aftermarket parts, that's perfectly fine. Just something to know about. And then dash clusters, the glass tends to fall off. And they also seem to quit working quite frequently. Other than that, you know, for the most part, the machine, the transaxle is pretty daggone bulletproof. You know, really capable machines. I'm trying to think of some other problems that I've seen in the past. The steering cylinders are prone to leaking on occasion. I've had, I'm trying to think of how many of these I've had. I've had 7 or 8 4-5 series tractors, and I've had 2 with leaky steering cylinders. I don't know if that's a design, a particular model year. I've never been able to trace it, but I do know that it is a problem that has arisen on occasion. Other than that, parts availability wise, the 3 TNA UJ 72 UJ engine is parts are pretty available. You know, overall nice engine compartment. Radiators are still available. You know, not too many things that would go on inside the engine compartment that are going to go bad if you take care of it. You know, overall, pretty nice machine. Really, cosmetics are the big one that you have to worry about. If the engine's worn out, I mean, obviously you got some other things there, but you know, for the most part, the engine's been moderately taken care of and the oil's been changed every couple hundred hours. It's probably fine. So let's turn our attention to the X748. What are the problems? Honestly, one of the things that people a lot of times get really concerned about is the plastic. From my point of view, the plastic does not have a very high failure rate. A new hood is almost $800, and it is a one-piece. Mostly everything's a one-piece except for the grill. And so you could easily spend almost $1,000 on a hood if it busts. But like I said, I don't think it's a very high failure part. Not something that I've ever seen. I just don't think it's a high failure part. Some of the big things with this machine that I know about, dash clusters. Dash clusters tend to go out. Dash clusters, depending on the model year of your X, will range anywhere from like $300 and something up to like $600. That's a supplier issue there. You know, so you just have to think about it and work from it and work with it. Under the hood, the engine overall, pretty bomb-proof engine. Really nice engine, lasts a couple thousand hours, just like all the Yanmars. However, one of the big complaints that I've seen with the X748 is the radiator. A lot of folks have had problems with radiators on these machines. They'll start leaking. Now they are prone. I think one of the big things I've seen coming from Deere is the fact that some of the hoses are loose when they were brand new. This particular radiator is original to the machine. I have seen suggestions that perhaps one of the reasons that radiators crack or break is the fact they go in and out of ditches. This machine for the last about 400 hours of the almost 700 hours that we have on it, or 650 hours. It's gone in and out of ditches. So I don't know if it's the cross member in there, that, you know, the extra support of the cross member for the front end loader or what, but I haven't, knock on wood, had any problems with this radiator, but it is a known problem. Tires on the four-wheel drive unit, the tires tend to wear out pretty fast, as would be expected. One of the things that I see quite frequently in terms of the four-wheel drive system is somebody will say the mechanical four-wheel drive is better than the hydraulic four-wheel drive. They're the same. Obviously, function-wise, they're the same. Mechanically wise, they're different, because one is hydraulically driven and the other one is shaft driven. But in terms of failure rates, the failure rate is extremely low for both. They are both very, very sound front axles, not a whole lot of problems with them overall. And in fact, I've noticed recently there's an uptick of when these machines, like engines blow up, things like that, people are taking the front axles and dropping them in, front axles in the four-wheel drive system out of the transaxle, and they're dropping them into other X units. So other than that, you know, overall pretty good machines. Some of the parts that I know are expensive are tie rods. Tie rods on these machines are not serviceable, and I think right now a tie rod is $375. Kind of ridiculous if you ask me. But other than that, I don't know of too many parts that are not serviceable or you can't get. Things to look at. One of the things that I have seen a lot of recently, if you're looking at buying either one of these machines, is really pay attention to somebody's painted it. And I'm not knocking painting, but if you paint something and then you turn right around and sell it, you know, what are you trying to hide? If you're just covering up scratches on the edge of the deck, that's perfectly fine, but take your time and do it. You know, when I sell stuff, like if I ever sell either one of these, they're going to be sold. I mean, I'll clean them up, I'll at least get all the dirt off of them, but I will clean them up and sell them, and I will not paint them. Other than that, you know, both of these machines are pretty, I mean, they're pretty stout. I don't have too much of a complaint about either one. I mean, obviously I've extensively used both of them. I've had the 455 now. For those of you that don't normally watch my videos, I've had the 455 now since February of 2019, and really I put it into service in kind of mid-March, late March, and it is now early June, and I've already put 14 hours on it, and I would suspect that's going to go up at the rate I'm using it. I'm putting about 5 to 6 hours a week on it. The X748, I purchased it in 2013 with 232 hours, and I think it has almost 650 hours on it now. So we use both pretty much pretty extensively. You know, both really good machines. If you're looking for a mower, they're great. Obviously the 455 is going to be a little cheaper. You know, a lot of guys say, oh, you're going to pay at least $5,000 for a 455. Honestly, I think that's a little too much. 455s are probably going to range anywhere from, you know, depending on condition, and I hate actually throwing out numbers, but probably anywhere from running, driving, mowing 455s, anywhere from 2,500 to 4,500. That doesn't include any attachments, things like that. I think this is a pretty nice example, and I would probably be on the higher end if I sold it, but I don't have any plans of selling it anytime in the next couple months. The X748, on the other hand, to kind of give you an idea, I would say that these machines are probably going to see somewhere between 4,000 and 7,000 with a deck, depending on options. Obviously the 7-iron deck is going to be bringing a little bit more money than, say, the 62 or the 54 or the 48-inch deck. The SE seat's going to bring some wheel weights, things like that. But just a deck and a, you know, lower hour X748, I think you're looking somewhere in that, you know, probably $5,000 to $6,000 range. Those are just my opinions. That's what I see. Obviously, if you're shopping on Craigslist or Facebook, prices are going to be a little bit higher, but you know, that's what you get. I mean, people are going to ask higher prices in hopes of getting it. I mean, there's no reason to start off low and then go higher, because that doesn't work very well. So if you have questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll try to get to them and answer them, and if not, Thanks for watching.